All right. So today we're diving into something I think we all spend a lot of time thinking about, money.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We're not talking about just like getting rich.
Right.
We're talking about getting happy.
Yes.
And we're going to be cracking open Happy Money
Okay.
by Elizabeth Dunn and Michael Norton.
Interesting.
And they've done the research, and their findings just might change
Yeah.
how you view your next purchase.
Well, they go way beyond that myth that money equals happiness.
Right.
They're really looking at how we spend, not just how much we have. And honestly, some of their findings surprised even me.
Well, the first principle they lay out is experiences over things.
Okay.
Now, we've all heard this before.
Sure, yeah. We hear that a lot, yeah.
But
it's kind of a common...
yeah, they have some compelling stories and research to back it up.
Right. It is. It is. It's more than just like a feel-good saying.
Right.
You know? Think about it. Like that new phone. That's cool for a week, right? And then after that, it's just your phone.
Yeah.
But a trip.
Yeah.
A concert. I mean, those memories, those stick with you. They really do become part of who you are.
Like that woman in the book, Marcia, who booked a flight on Virgin Galactic.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, talk about
a big one.
A once-in-a-lifetime
Yeah.
experience. That's got to be more life-changing than a slightly bigger TV.
Exactly. That's a powerful example of how experiences really can shape our identity. It's about those stories that we tell ourselves and others. And,
Right.
you know, even smaller experiences like a meal at a really fantastic restaurant
Yeah.
can have that lasting impact. The book talks about this place, El Bulli,
Okay.
a restaurant in Spain,
Okay.
where they turned simple ingredients like strawberries into these incredible multi-sensory experiences.
Oh, wow. I know. I've definitely got some meals I'll never forget, more than any, like, gadget
I know, me too.
I've ever bought. So it's not just about the big splashy stuff. It's about choosing experiences, big or small, that really resonate with you.
Absolutely. And the research shows that experiences create stronger social connections too.
Oh, yeah?
You know,
Yeah.
sharing those moments with others, it amplifies those good feelings.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of belonging.
Now, the second principle is make it a treat.
Okay.
And this one really hit home for me because I can be such a creature of habit,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
We all are, to some extent. You know, the book calls this habituation.
Okay.
We just get used to things, even good things.
Right.
And that initial thrill, it just fades away.
Yeah.
Remember when Disney used to put their classic movies in the vault?
Oh, yeah, that totally made them feel more special.
Right.
It's like you had to wait for that little window to
Yeah.
experience the magic again.
Exactly. So by limiting the access, they created a sense of scarcity.
Right.
And that made the experience more valuable.
Yeah.
The book suggests that, you know, we can apply this to our everyday lives.
Okay.
Think about something you really enjoy, maybe a specific food or activity.
Yeah.
Could you intentionally make it a treat rather than an everyday thing?
Well, I do that with candy corn. I only let myself eat it during Halloween season.
Okay.
And honestly, it makes it taste even better.
There you go. You're already putting this principle into action. And what's
Yeah.
fascinating is that companies have caught on to this too. You know, subscription boxes,
Oh, yeah.
limited edition products, even car sharing services. You
Mm.
know, they all tap into that psychology of scarcity and anticipation
Right.
to make their offerings more appealing.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's about being mindful, right? Not letting ourselves get on that treadmill of constantly wanting more,
Right.
but instead appreciating what we have
Yeah.
and finding those little pockets of joy in the things we choose to experience.
It's about shifting our focus from acquiring to appreciating. And that brings us to the third principle, which really challenges another common assumption about wealth and happiness.
Okay.
Are you ready to buy time?
I think so.
Okay.
Buy time. Okay. Now that's something I think we're all interested in, especially these days. It always feels like there's just not enough of it.
Right. That's the paradox, isn't it? We've got all of these time-saving gadgets,
Right.
all these services, but yet so many of us just feel more time-crunched than ever.
Yeah.
Happy Money really challenges us to rethink this assumption that wealth equals free time.
Yeah, I can see that. Sometimes it feels like the more we can afford to outsource or automate, the busier our lives become. Like we just fill up that space with more stuff.
Exactly. And the book digs into the research on this. So wealthier people often report feeling more time pressure, even if they are delegating those tasks.
Yeah.
It's because they tend to spend more time on these activities that are stressful or demanding, like work or managing their finances. They might have less dead time, But that doesn't always mean a greater sense of freedom or well-being.
It's like that saying, work expands to fill the time allotted.
Right.
Maybe our to-do lists just expand to fill all the time we save.
That's a great way to put it. And it really highlights how important it is to be intentional
Yeah.
about how we use the time we buy back. If we're just plugging in those gaps with more work or more mindless consumption, we're not really gaining anything.
So it's not just about having free time, it's about what we do with it. It reminds me of that example in the book about the Roomba.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's a great gadget, saves time on vacuuming,
Right.
but some people actually miss that chore.
I know. That is a perfect example of how those mundane tasks can actually give us some satisfaction.
Yeah.
It might sound strange, but things like vacuuming, cooking, they can actually be kind of meditative.
Right.
Even enjoyable. It's about feeling like you have control over your time rather than constantly feeling at the mercy of your schedule.
Okay, I'm starting to see the nuance here. It's not that all chores are inherently good.
Right.
It's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your time, even if it's on something other people would outsource.
Yeah.
So how do we get better at buying time in a way that actually makes us happier?
Well, the book suggests, thinking about those trade-offs we make.
Okay.
Like, could you work a little less, even if that means a slightly smaller income?
Mm-hmm.
Could you delegate or automate the tasks that you really just don't enjoy? Free up time for things you actually like to do.
I think a lot of people would be surprised at how much time they actually waste on things that don't really matter to them.
Exactly.
Scrolling through social media, watching TV shows they don't even like.
Absolutely. The book actually mentions that the average American spends over 2 months a year watching television.
Oh my goodness.
And research shows it's not even that enjoyable compared to other activities like spending time with loved ones or pursuing their hobbies.
That's a scary thought. 2 months of my life gone. So reclaiming time also means being more mindful of how we're spending the time we already have.
Exactly. It's about being intentional and making those choices that align with what we really value. Think about your daily commute, for example.
Yeah.
Often a big source of stress, wasted time.
Yeah.
But could it be an opportunity to listen to a podcast, read a book, or even squeeze in a little exercise?
Yeah, I've definitely been trying to reframe my commute as me time rather than dead time. I'll listen to audiobooks, catch up on news. It makes a huge difference.
There you go. You're putting this into practice.
Yeah.
And the book highlights that even small changes can have a really big impact on our sense of time affluence.
Okay.
It's about finding those pockets of time throughout your day and turning them into something enjoyable or even productive.
Okay. So we've covered experiences over things. Make it a treat and buy time.
Yep.
I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
It's all about being more mindful.
Yeah, okay.
And intentional with our choices.
Yeah.
Whether we're spending money or time.
You're picking up on the key takeaway. Happy money is all about aligning our spending with our values.
Yeah.
To really create a life that is richer in experience, meaning, and, well, happiness.
And speaking of happiness, I'm really curious about this next principle.
Okay.
It seems a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
In our instant gratification world, tell me about pay now, consume later.
All right, this one really challenges conventional thinking, but the research behind it is really fascinating.
Okay.
It suggests that delaying gratification can actually enhance our enjoyment. Remember Marcia, the woman with the Virgin Galactic flight?
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine the anticipation leading up to that.
Right.
Years of waiting and dreaming is part of what makes it so special.
Exactly. So that anticipation, that excitement, the savoring, as they call it in a book, it adds this whole other layer of pleasure to the experience.
Right.
And there's a neurological basis for this. So the act of anticipating something enjoyable, it actually activates those reward centers in our brains. So you get this sustained period of happiness.
So it's like we're getting a double dose of happiness.
Yeah.
Once from the anticipation and again from the actual experience.
Precisely. And this isn't just about those big once-in-a-lifetime things either. Think about smaller things.
Okay.
Pre-ordering a book you're excited for.
Right.
Planning a trip with friends. Even saving up for that special meal. That act of delaying gratification
Yeah.
can really boost the enjoyment.
But isn't that so hard to do in today's world?
Yeah.
Everything is so available instantly. From movies to food to clothes, we're constantly bombarded with messages to buy now, consume now.
And that's exactly why this principle is so important.
Right.
The book highlights how this whole consume now, pay later culture can lead to less satisfaction over time. It's like we've become numb to the joy of anticipation.
Right.
Because everything's at our fingertips. We're chasing that next new thing without fully appreciating what we have.
So how do we break free from that? Do we all have to ditch our credit cards and start paying for everything in cash?
It doesn't have to be that drastic. You can start with small, conscious choices.
Okay.
Maybe you delay watching that movie you just downloaded.
Uh-huh.
Resist that urge to buy that gadget the second it's released.
Right.
And practice savoring that anticipation.
I think that's a great point. We can start incorporating this principle into our everyday lives without overhauling our whole financial system.
Right.
It's about finding those opportunities to delay gratification.
Exactly.
And see how it impacts our enjoyment.
And here's another interesting piece of this. The book explains that uncertainty can actually enhance our enjoyment, especially for positive things. Wait, uncertainty. I thought the whole point of delaying gratification was to know for sure you were getting something good.
I know. It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But think about it.
Okay.
When you know exactly what you're getting, it can actually take away from the surprise and excitement. Remember those subscription boxes we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Part of what makes those so appealing is that mystery.
Right.
The not knowing what's inside until it arrives.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's like the difference between getting a gift you specifically asked for versus a surprise gift. The surprise gift feels more special.
Exactly. And this can apply to those bigger purchases as well.
Okay.
The book even suggests that when you're buying something big, like a car, or even a house, if you can build in some element of anticipation or surprise, it can actually increase your enjoyment of the purchase.
So even with big decisions, it's not just about making the purchase, it's about the whole process leading up to it.
It really is.
That's an interesting perspective. It's about shifting our mindset from just consumption to really savoring.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the final principle from Happy Money.
Okay.
One that I think resonates deeply with everyone. It's the idea of invest in others.
Invest in others. It sounds almost too simple, right? Can spending money on other people really boost our own happiness?
You know, it might sound counterintuitive, especially in a culture that emphasizes, individual success, accumulation. But the research is really clear on this.
Okay.
Spending money on others, whether it's through charitable giving or even just like treating a friend to coffee, has this measurable positive impact on how we feel.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that like warm, fuzzy feeling
Right.
after doing something nice for somebody.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it from a scientific perspective.
Well, the book digs into the science of it and explains that giving actually triggers the release of endorphins.
Oh, wow.
And other feel-good chemicals in our brains.
Wow.
It's like a natural high. It's something that we're wired for as social creatures.
So it's not just a feel-good sentiment. It's actually changing our brain chemistry. That's pretty amazing.
It is. And the benefits go beyond those immediate good feelings, too.
Yeah. Okay.
It creates a sense of purpose. It strengthens our connections with others.
Yeah.
It can even make us feel wealthier, even though we've given some of our money away.
That's so interesting. I guess it makes sense when we focus on helping others, we're kind of shifting our perspective away from our own, perceived lacks.
Exactly.
And we tap into that sense of abundance and gratitude.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is the book highlights that this principle is true across cultures, income levels. They share this really powerful story about a woman in Uganda who sacrificed some of her very limited resources to help someone in need. It's a reminder that even the smallest acts of generosity can have a profound impact, both on the person receiving it and the giver.
That's a beautiful reminder that happiness isn't a zero-sum game. We can actually create more happiness in the world and in ourselves by really focusing on the well-being of others.
Absolutely. And the book gives some really great insights into how to make our giving even more effective. It emphasizes the importance of choice, connection, and impact.
Choice, connection, and impact. Can you break that down a little bit?
Sure. So Choice basically means making sure our giving is a true choice,
Sure.
not an obligation.
Yeah.
If we feel pressured or guilty,
Right.
it really does take away from those positive effects. Connection is all about feeling connected to the cause or to the recipient of our generosity. And impact is about seeing a real difference being made as a result of our giving.
Yeah, it reminds me of that study I read about people are more likely to donate to a charity when they can see the direct impact.
Exactly. It's about feeling like our giving's making a real difference.
Yeah.
And remember Mike's experience with DonorsChoose.org through that Crate and Barrel voucher.
That was so clever.
Yeah.
Combining shopping with giving.
Yeah.
He got to choose a specific classroom project to support. It felt a lot more personal and impactful.
It's a great example of how businesses can get involved in promoting pro-social spending. Imagine if more companies, incorporated these giving opportunities into their models, making it easier and more fun for customers to give to things they really care about.
It's like a win-win. The company gets to show they're committed to social responsibility.
Yeah.
The customer gets that good feeling of supporting a cause they care about.
Exactly.
And ultimately, everyone benefits from those positive ripple effects of generosity.
It's all about creating that virtuous cycle of happiness.
So we've covered all 5 principles from happy money, experiences over things, make it a treat, buy time, pay now, consume later, and invest in others. It's been an eye-opening deep dive, to say the least.
It's a really powerful framework for thinking about our relationship with money. Yeah. Aligning our spending with what we value to create a life that is richer in experience, meaning, and lasting happiness.
So are there any tips or strategies from the book about how to actually put these principles into action?
Well, they encourage readers to really look at their spending habits. Where does our money go? How much of it's aligned with these 5 principles?
Right.
They also suggest starting small, experimenting with just one principle at a time and see how it affects us.
I love that approach.
Yeah.
It's not about overhauling our whole lives overnight.
Right.
It's about making those conscious choices, one purchase at a time, and slowly shifting those habits toward what brings us genuine happiness.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And remember, all these principles, they go beyond just our personal lives.
Right.
Imagine if businesses and governments took these to heart.
Yeah.
It could lead to, a world where work is more fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Our communities are stronger. And people feel more connected and content.
It's a beautiful vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all starts with awareness, right? By understanding the science of happiness.
Right.
And these 5 principles, we can make choices that contribute to a happier, more fulfilling life for ourselves and those around us.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into happy money. We hope it's giving you some new ideas and inspired you to think differently about your relationship with money and happiness. Now go out there and spend happy.